gonna skip over the minutes. Amanda wants to make some adjustments, and I want to make sure they're correct, so we'll just skip right on to our business. The first order of business this evening is the continuation of case 2020.07.78A, continuation of the hearing for New England Farms. Is Mr. Pratt available?
No, Mr. Chairman, this is Phil. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, this is Phil Lombardo, the attorney for the project.
Okay.
And I've had to call in because once again I've had issues with the computer. But with the team tonight are Nikki Higgins, the project developer, Frank Montero, the project engineer, and Heather Montecup, our traffic engineer. What I thought, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, is that we would have Mr. Montero give an overview of the project, because I know it's been a while since you folks have seen a discussion on this or heard a discussion, and perhaps Frank can describe briefly the project and then the changes that have been made since the last time we presented.
Sounds good. I'd like to hear from that. I did expect new plans, as I was told that there was more being developed and there was changes, but if he can explain them all to us, that may work. So we'll give Mr. Montero a shot at that first.
Can I just, sorry, Frank, I just want to say that we did submit a revised plan set, and Frank can take us through that.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Frank Montero with GPI, representing the applicant Delta Realty. I'm going to share my screen here and hopefully it works. So you guys can see that. All right. So as Phil mentioned, there's been several plans submitted. It's kind of confusing. I'm just going to try to summarize some highlights to bring us up to speed. So we originally had an application quite a while ago for a larger building than this. This is the current plan that's before you. I'm going to go back to the original one just to bring it to speed on what's changed. So this is the original layout with a 4,285 square foot convenience store. And at this time, there was a drive-through window associated with that development. And that application was subsequently withdrawn. And a new application was made on January 12th for a smaller building. And the drive-through component was eliminated from the project.
Trying to figure out, I believe 68.
At that time, the submission on January 12th, the building was actually 3,995 square feet, slightly larger than what you see here. But it.
Excuse me, Frank. We got someone cutting in. I don't know if the cable guy can mute who's ever doing it. I don't know. Can you guys hear that background noise?
Yeah, somebody's not on mute.
Yeah. Anybody on cable there? Can they mute that particular individual out?
Yeah, I'm trying to see who it is.
Thank you very much.
So just to reiterate, so on January 12th, we filed a totally new application with the zoning board. And the drive-through lane was eliminated. The building was made smaller at that point to 3,995 square feet, down from the original 4,285 square feet. And then subsequent to that, with some input from the town, we submitted revised plans again on March 11th, which the board should have in their hands now, and that's what we're looking at on the screen here. And the basic change on that version was the building was further reduced to 3,600 square feet. Really nothing else significantly changed on that, but the building was made smaller. One of the other changes that we made, which wasn't made clear the other night at the planning board, we had a hearing on March 18th, is that we eliminated the joint venture opportunity that was proposed in the store, and there's some notations on the building elevations in the plan set that didn't delete that that nomenclature of joint ventures, so there was some confusion. But clearly, there's no branding proposed in the C-store. Once the drive-through was eliminated, there's not going to be any brand names in terms of a donut shop or a coffee shop or a deli. So we're still going to provide our own coffee brand and our own sandwiches. It's just not a branded opportunity. So we will be fixing that on the plan for the next planning board meeting. It's actually going to take place on April 22nd. We've also submitted to the zoning board a sign variance application quite a while ago. I don't even remember the date, but we submitted a subsequent sign package to the board also on March 12th, which had a smaller freestanding sign proposed. So that's a separate application I won't really speak to until you're ready for that one, but I'll just go through this site plan application here that's before you. So we're looking at the site plan that's been submitted. This is a rendering of the plan with the landscaping that was created, and there'll be some changes to this based on our planning board meeting last week. But the general site layout, nothing changes there, just trying to address some of the abutter input. But as mentioned, this is a 3,600 square foot store with the main entrance located on this side of the building, loading zone located to the back side of the building on the east side. The overhead canopy, which is proposed here, has 4 dispensers, actually 5 dispensers, 2 on this island, that's capable of fueling 8 vehicles at one time. So that hasn't changed in the project at all since the original plan. We have 25 parking spaces proposed, series of parking in front of the store here, some parking to the rear in this location, and then some parking over here adjacent to these underground tanks, which are located in this fashion. Regarding access to the site, based on the revised or the current plan and elimination of the drive-through lane over here, we've eliminated 1 curb cut on Main Street. So we're proposing 2 curb cuts on Main Street, this right-in driveway only, and then this full access driveway on Main between the C-store and the canopy. And then we have a second full access driveway located on Wing Road. So that's a reduction in the existing curb cuts on site, and it's a further reduction from where we started. Fuel tanker deliveries are intended to come off of Main Street here, turn right into this driveway. The fuel tanker would stop adjacent to the tanks here, fill up the underground tanks, then circulate around the canopy and go back out. Oops, this driveway. Oops, I don't want to do that. Sorry about that. So the fuel tanker will come out this full access driveway over here. Additional site features, we have a trash enclosure located on this part of the site. There's a vacuum air island located here. The loading zone I mentioned on this side of the building. There's some rear doors to the convenience store for egress on this side of the building here. And we have a transformer pad located in this corner. And some site lighting, freestanding sign is proposed at this location here. Substantial landscaping shown on this plan. Based on our input the other night from planning, we're going to be making some additional changes to this. But basically, we are proposing to put in a full row of arborvitae along this abutting property line here with the abutter. The DeRoches, we've had discussions with them on the type of arborvitae, and we'll work that out at the planning board, but we're agreeing to replace that proposed species with a different species that the DeRoches prefer. There was also some discussion with the planning board and the DeRoches about trying to retain an existing large evergreen tree located here, which we've agreed to do. We've got to modify some utility connections in this area, but we feel confident that we can do that. Basically, it's a result of eliminating the drive-through and, I want to do that, and reducing the size of the building. Back. We've reduced the impervious area on the site. Originally, it was proposed at 60%. This current design's at 55.9%. The existing site, which everyone's familiar with, is at 66.5% impervious currently, and the zoning allows up to 90%. So we're well under the allowed impervious area. We're showing site lights on this plan. We've submitted full photometric lighting plans to the planning board for review, but I just wanted to point out that the lighting will be all dark sky compliant. It's energy efficient LED lighting. We've proposed lower light poles than we would normally use at a gas station facility. We're proposing 15-foot poles. Normally we would use 20, 25, sometimes 30-foot high, depending on the size of the site. The bases for the lights are 6 inches high. Normally we'd use a 30-inch concrete base. So again, the intent is to respect the abutters and try to minimize impact that any lighting might have. Just briefly on drainage, we're going through that design in great detail with the planning board and the peer review consultant. But in a nutshell, the existing site has no stormwater treatment. Basically, there's uncontrolled runoff, sheet flow from the existing site out to the street, so we're going to improve on that. Provide a collection system on site, so nothing will run off site uncontrolled, and everything will run through an oil water separator before tying back into the existing stormwater system, which is down here in the corner. We're also proposing an underground infiltration system located in this area, so some of the clean runoff from the canopy roof and building roof and this back lawn area will be infiltrated back into the groundwater, which is something the existing site doesn't enjoy. All the new utilities would come off of Main Street in this area here. We submitted some updated building elevations as well. I've got some renderings here that the board, I believe, has seen these before. Again, this is a view from Main Street, from where the existing driveway and proposed driveway will be located. This is a rendering of the proposed changes. And this was the original rendering that I showed the board. So it still shows the drive-through exit here, but that obviously has been deleted at this point. But what I wanted to show you here is the architecture. This isn't a standard flat roof canopy or flat roof convenience store. We've got red brick on a convenience store with granite sills under the windows. There's some nice coining details on the corners of the building here. We've added some kind of faux windows on this side of the building facing Main Street, facing the abutter across the street. Hip roof on the building with architectural charcoal shingles, cupola feature, portico entrance here. All this lighting would be externally illuminated with these gooseneck lights on the building. Again, the canopy has a nice architectural feature with a peak roof, some gables on the front and sides to follow the building roof lines. This gives you a little better idea on the dispenser layout with the vehicles fueling at the dispensers. Again, we could fuel 8 vehicles at one time. This is a typical LED light. These are the parking spaces where the underground tanks are located. Again, this isn't drawn right either. This is a 30-inch concrete base, so we've reduced that to 6-inch. Going over to the other side on Wing Road, this is a view from the proposed driveway on that side, showing the existing use. Again, this is the proposed use that allows access from Wing Road. Again, you can see the dispensers. This shows the 2 dispensers on this island. This is for diesel. And again, this building's a little larger in scale than the revised building. This is the original 2425 square foot. So the new building's got a smaller footprint. This originally had the drive-through shown here. So this is a loading zone now. It's not a drive-through lane. Underground tanks is shown here again. Parking on this side. This is the vac and air unit over here. This gives you an idea of significant upgrade, obviously on the existing conditions. We're still hammering out some details with the planning board and some of the butters. I know Mr. Higgins has met with or plans to meet with some of the butters to hear out some of the additional concerns they've had. And that pretty much brings us up to where we are with the permit application before the zoning board. I'll conclude with that and answer any questions you may have on this piece at this time. We also have Heather Monacup, our traffic consultant, our traffic engineer is here. If there's any questions on her end, she did submit a traffic study to the planning board, and that's being peer reviewed as well as part of that process. So I'll conclude with that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Looking for you to remove that screen if you could, so I could get back to everybody and ask if there's anybody else who'd like to speak, whether it's anybody on your team, or then we'll ask the abutters if there's anybody. I think New England Farms has done what they have to say for now. Is there any abutters that would like to speak on that? I see Mr. DeRoche here. I see Mrs. Liberty. Mr. DeRoche, go ahead.
Yes, I'm speaking. My name's Joshua DeRoche. For the record, we live on 168 Main Street. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife, Odelia DeRoche. You know, my wife and I are both happy that the applicant was nice enough to come down with the size of the building, and we're certainly comfortable with that. And we appreciate how they've made some adjustments to protect our privacy and our property values. You know, we do have some concerns, but I feel pretty confident, as you know, Mr. Higgins did reach out a couple times, and I feel confident that, you know, moving forward through the planning committee, we'll be able to address our future concerns. So, you know, as far as the size of the building, you know, we're certainly a lot more happier than where we started. So we do thank the applicant for the, you know, concessions that they've given.
Thank you, Mr. DeRoche. Mr. Davignon.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Dave DeVignan. I represent Pat Liberty and his family. They own the property directly across the street. Their frontage probably starts about where the proposed gas pumps will be, running up the street to the end where the building would be. I actually agree with Josh. I have had conversations as recently as today with the applicant. He's made some concessions for Mr. Liberty relative to his concerns regarding headlights coming into his living room from cars exiting the parking lot. And we support the 3,600 square foot request. And we're hopeful that things could move forward in a good way like they are now. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak for or in any way on this?
Bob, don't they need a variance for that 3,600 square foot building?
That's what we're here for.
Oh, okay, because I didn't see that on the agenda.
No, it's the first thing that it's what we're discussing tonight. It is the continuation. And it started out months ago, as Mr. Higgins said, at 4,285 square feet. They went to 3,995. They're now at 36. And I know they have been working hard with the neighbors to make everybody happy with the whole project. So yes, that if we do take this up, if there is a motion, our first vote would be to grant a variance that would allow for the 3,600 square feet, because allowed without and I'm sorry, it's not a variance, it's a special permit, not a variance. They're seeking a special permit from us to go to the 3,600 feet versus the 3,000 square foot that they were allowed. So originally they were about 40% over. They've reduced it to about 20%. They've made some, what I think are some nice concessions to the neighbors, and it sounds like the neighbors agree. So if there's nothing else, then it's up to you guys to,
I
move this one way or another.
I have a couple things.
Okay.
First, Rick, to answer your question with the wording on the agenda, when the case first came in front of us, it's still technically the same case. So that's why the wording hasn't changed. It's just been a continuance of, because that's the way it was advertised. I couldn't change it halfway through, even though we are only voting on the size of the building and the signage, the only things in front of us. I
Two
did say
separate
at the
cases,
last
though.
yes, two separate cases. Yep. I did say at the last meeting that we were reiterating that we were only voting on those two matters that are in our jurisdiction and nothing that was planning boards. But I mentioned that I wanted to reach out to a couple people, mainly the fire chief, police chief, and the highway department, just to get their input on what we were voting on, which is the size of the building and the signage. I heard back from all of them, and the only concern, the highway department said that they've reviewed it, they see everything has no problems, and police and fire both agreed. They have no issues with the signage. Their only concerns are interference with the light of sight for motorists and pedestrians. And then regarding the business size, the only concern is that applicable building codes and fire protection standards be met. So that obviously comes with the territory, but nobody had any problems. I'm honestly very happy to see where we are now versus where we were a few months ago with the signs, the size of the building, the signage, and just the overall opinions of the abutters, which I think is really great to see kind of both sides and everybody working together and really doing this the right way, which really makes me, happy to see. And I like that, they looks like they're working with us for, the size and not being unreasonable. And I think that really helps. I don't have anything further than that.
All right, if there's nothing else, it just takes a motion from
Bob?
a member to do this.
Bob,
Yes.
I think the building is too big for such a small street corner in town. I think it's better suited to a city like Providence or Boston, but not in Acushnet. So I don't particularly agree. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I do have one more question. What is the, you said that you did lower the signage size. What did you lower it to?
I think that's on the next one, Amanda. We have to do that.
I was gonna say, I don't want to kick you down, Amanda, but the signage is the separate case. I think we should.
Okay,
leave it
all right,
there.
so building size then. I'll make a motion to approve the requested, was it 3,600 square foot special permit.
I'll second that.
Okay. Yeah, we have a motion and a second, so we're gonna take a vote. It does sound like we have not everybody in favor, so I want to do this as a roll call. And I'm just gonna go in alphabetical order with the votes. If there's no more discussion, I'm not shutting down discussion, but we do have a motion made. Everybody ready to vote? Okay, so we do have a motion, a second. I'm just gonna go in alphabetical order. Amanda
Aye.
and Mark
Aye.
and Rick.
No.
No. I'm sorry, I went out, but it's okay. I'm sorry, Paul. You were next, Paul?
Yes.
Yes. And I agree that we've come a long way and they've really tried to make the abutters happy. It sounds like the abutters want it and we need something better than what's there. So I'm an aye also. Vote is 4 for and 1 against.
What kind of paperwork do we have to do? We have to to the town clerk by Friday, Amanda, to sign all these papers?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I will have everything over to them.
Will it be there
Thank you.
And then
Thursday?
there's the 20-day appeal period. Mr. Lombardo or Mr. Higgins, if you want to reach out to the town clerk's office, I'd say early to mid next week, they can let you know when everything will be all set.
That would be fine.
Next
Thank
week
you.
or this week?
By
Amanda,
next week.
or
so it gives
this week?
everybody time to go in and sign.
Rick, we have to
What was
sign the
that?
papers by Friday, and
Okay,
opponent can pick it up anytime Monday after that. Is that correct, Amanda?
Well, I'd say the middle of next week. So that way the clerk's office can put together whatever they need to.
oh, okay. So you want us to go and sign early, middle of next week?
No, we gotta
No,
sign
I
by
want you to
Friday.
sign by Friday.
Okay,
Please, please and thank you.
all right.
Okay, so, all right. So now can we talk about the signage?
Yep, next order of business is
Okay.
case 2020.10.20A. Continuation of the case of New England Retail Development LLC. Tom Pratt was pending the board for a variance to be able to allow wall signs in excess of 50 square feet and pole signs in excess of 15 feet tall. The proposed location, 158, 166, and Main Street and 17 Wing Road. Basically, we all know what we're talking about, same property, same building. They're looking to have more signage than what's allowed and higher signage. That's what's allowed. So Mickey, I'll put you back on the seat to tell us who you want to represent.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, this is Phil Lombardo. Again, for the record, the attorney for the project.
Gotcha.
And with me this evening, our team is Mickey Higgins, the developer, and Frank Montero, the project engineer. This is yet another situation where we did submit a subsequent package, if you will, because we did reduce the size of the building, but the signs, the sign areas on the building have not changed. Frank, I'm wondering if you happen to have something we could put up for
I
the.
can, I could share my screen, Mr. Chairman, if that's all right.
Please do.
All right, so I'll, gonna just go over again, the freestanding sign is proposed down here on the corner. And the wall signs are proposed on the building. Let's take a peek at this. These are the 3 wall signs that are proposed on the building. The wall signs are externally illuminated. You can kind of see the goosenecks that illuminate them. So the revised sign package that we submitted is here. These are the wall signs proposed. The New England Farms is the convenience store name. These are generic coffee and deli signs. There's no co-branding joint venture as discussed. So the sizes of those signs are on here. Those 3 signs total 62.75 square feet. And with respect to this freestanding sign, this is the smaller version that we've submitted. This sign was reduced to, answer Amanda's question, was reduced to 20 feet overall height. The original version was.
Yeah, Frank, I'm just gonna, you kind of faded out there, so it's 20 feet.
Yeah, the proposed height at this point is 20 feet overall. Originally, it was 23 feet 4 inches. So that's been reduced significantly. And then the size of this sign was originally 150.6 square feet. And now we're at 108 square feet, which is what you're looking at here. So that was submitted with the revised package. So there's been a significant reduction in that signage as well. And we'll just entertain questions at this point.
And Frank, can I just interject on one thing? What you can't see on the building is that the signs are going to be externally illuminated by gooseneck lighting. The way the sign is over the door, you see these small, what are gooseneck lights. And those are going to be the same lighting elements for those two wall signs. They will not be internally illuminated. And we just wanted to point that out.
And so this document's not accurate with respect to the goosenecks that were added to these side signs. So that's why I wanted to show you this version here, because this does actually, kind of give you an idea what they look like if I zoom in a little bit more. So again, they're externally illuminated, all three of these.
Yeah, you can see them. And with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we hope we defer to you at this point.
If I can ask to stop sharing the screen so we can get the full crowd back on, and there you go. Once again, I'll ask if there's any butters who want to speak on this. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, again, Dave Vignan representing Mr. Liberty across the street. We don't have any objections to the overage above 50 square feet for those signs which are on the building. But I must say, I mean, the size of that sign, I was just trying to visualize it. It's the size of 3 sheets of plywood, 2 side by side vertically, and then a third one on top. I caution the board that, you know, once you approve it, that's it. They have it. That just seems enormous for the neighborhood, and I'd like the board to take its time in making a decision and not rush. For instance, what is the size of the other gas station down the street? What are the other signs on Main Street? We really shouldn't be. We got to be careful here as a town, not to have something that's so big it's out of character. So those are my concerns.
Thank you. Anybody else?
It's not doing that. It says mute.
No.
Mrs. Liberty?
Go ahead, Pat, right here.
Hi, is it Pat Liberty?
Wait. Yeah, does he got to talk?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
This is Pat Liberty. My beautiful wife on the left of me. My concern too is also about the signage. David, thank you for your communication, backing me up through these things. We know medically I have some issues about my memory, so I got David as my sponsor for me. He's done a great job. But again, at the end of this all, I'm just thinking that, again, it's just a social conversation that this sign is bigger than the village sign. This sign is performing what New England Farms would do in any of the industry, wherever they put their property at. This is really a village, it's kind of a soft area. Most people are coming down here, there's all houses around, it's not an industrial area. It's an industrial sign. I think the people that come by this street all the time would, within the month, would know that this is New England Farms, without a doubt. It'd be a no-brainer, without a doubt. The point is that the sign is so big, becomes like, it's language that's not needed in a village. It's a gas station, it's obvious, the lighting, the pumps, the whole thing. I think downsizing that sign to a more compassionate size in this area would be incredible. I'm all for New England Farms. I've come a long way with all of my comrades around here. We still have a lot of questions, but they've done their best to make us comfortable. I'm grateful for that. Mickey Higgins, his company that he's working with, I'm agree with all of these things you're doing, but I think the sign is like way more than you need in this kind of a town. There is no other professional buildings around here. We need that kind of signage. Most people kind of get it. We know who you are. We see you there. You don't need a sign that big. That's just my opinion. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Montero, do you mind bringing up the sign again for me? I just want to take a look at something.
While he's doing that, I'll share my opinion, just so everybody has it on board. I really agree. As much as I'm on here and I'm, biased judge, I think the sign is really big for what you need there, because again, like, we just heard, once you drive through town once, you know what's there. It's not off the side of a highway where you're trying to bring anybody in. It really, there's almost no need for a sign. I agree that price is important for people. They want to see what the price is as they drive by. They want it to be legible and easily communicated. Mobile, I understand, wants their name at the top of it, so I get it, New England Farms, but you know, the middle there with the deli and other things, I can't see needed. I don't see it needing to be that big. So once we're all ready to move forward, I'd like to see something. I have no problems with the signage on the walls. I like the way they're lit. I really don't care how much space it takes up because it's the wall of the building, and I know they want a nice looking building. So everything they're doing proves that they want a good looking building, and the signage looks great as well. The signage of this, I'd like to see reduced to something maybe 75 square foot, and maybe, you know, I don't mind that if we creep up a little on the height. 15 feet seems to be enough for me, but like if we go 17 or 18 and 75 square foot. So what I'm doing is kind of giving you the input of what I'd like to see in case you want to alter your course. Of course, I'm only one voting member, but I agree with the two abutters that the signage is a little much for a small corner and a cushion. So I'll go back to Amanda and let her look. You know, she wanted this picture up. We can take a look.
Thank you. That's actually what I wanted to get at too, and wanted to see again, because I absolutely agree with you. Where, you know, with the deli aspect and whatnot, where it's not going to be, you said that there's not going to be another, you know, donut shop or another actual company, you know, going to be in there. So you don't need another, you know, company name. I understand the mobile and the New England Farms, and I absolutely agree with what Bob's saying. I think 17, 18, like I'm okay with it a little bigger, but I absolutely agree with you and all the abutters that spoke on, you know, we're a small town. This is a change. Everybody's going to know it's there. I think a little bigger is okay, but I don't want it to take away from what we are and have it be detrimental by just being too big.
I agree with you, Amanda.
Maybe we can ask Frank, I know it's not your decision, but Phil and Mickey are out there. Maybe you guys have worked with us before. You brought everything down. The neighbors are pretty happy. Maybe you can do something on this aspect as far as making this sign a little smaller.
So Frank, I can speak. Frank, we just put the ID sign back up for 1 minute. So every one of those panels under the mobile, so the New England Farms, the word synergy, the word deli, each one of those panels is just slightly under 2 feet. So you have to understand one thing, you know, we partner with mobile. So in order to have the mobile brand, we have to meet certain branding requirements. So the word synergy, it's not important to me. It's not important to anyone in the community, but what it is when Exxon and Mobil became one company, they now advertise their brands. Exxon and Mobil are synergistic. So, I mean, honestly, there's no one from Mobil on this phone call, so I would be happy to give up synergy, and that would get us down 2 feet. And, you know, hearing a man, it was probably a lot more important when we were going to have a drive-through and try to partner with, you know, with a coffee outlet like a Mary Lou's Coffee or a Honeydew Coffee. They would want their sign. If I could keep the size of mobile to make my partner happy, I could eliminate the synergy, eliminate the deli, and that would reduce the sign 4 feet. So it would go from 20 feet to an overall height of 16 feet. And that would be agreeable to us. And I also agree, if you drive down Main Street, of course, after a few trips, you're going to know we're there. So we'd be happy to do that. Meets the approval of the board and the abutters.
Sounds great to me.
Certainly an improvement.
Okay, we can remove,
It is very important that we keep the mobile.
I understand.
To have mobile, to have the brand, they need a certain amount of image, so.
That's understandable.
If we can remove this from the screen again.
Josh.
So if
I'm
you
not-
were to take those out, we're looking at 4 feet, which would bring it down to the 16. How is that looking? I don't have the numbers in front of me to do the square footage.
Yeah, I'm coming up with, give me 2 seconds, 80 square feet in total.
That
Basically,
makes-
it's
That makes
3
pretty good sense to me because it's just under 4 feet and just under 8 feet. So about 30 feet and 28 would give it to 80. So
I'm much more comfortable with that.
is the petitioner agreeing to ask for 80 square foot maximum signage and 16-foot total height?
The petitioner is asking for exactly what you just said.
Okay. Is there,
Right now.
I'm gonna go back to the abutters now. You know, we've made some concessions. Mr. Liberty, Mr. Davinian, anybody else want to talk on this now? We're at 80 square feet and 16 feet in height.
I'll defer to Mr. Liberty. Pat?
Can you see me?
He can't see you. He sees
Can
my.
you hear me?
We can't see you, but as long as we can hear you, you're good.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat.
It's Mr. Liberty again. I'd like to commend Mickey Higgins for performing the way he has been doing. He's done a good job. He's trying to do his best to commend and make the people around here comfortable. I believe the sign is definitely adequate. I agree with the signage now and the reliefing that he's taken out of it, to shorten the sign up. I think that's a good place to be. Mr. Higgins, thank you for your going forward and helping us get through this. Just another step that we're trying to get through. Again, we appreciate you. We're looking forward to River Farms being around here. I think it's gonna be a good asset to this company and a good asset to the neighborhood, as long as we keep it a village prospect.
Anybody
So,
else?
Thank you.
Is there any motion from the board?
I'll make a motion. Go ahead, Amanda.
No, after you, Mark, you got it.
No, that's all. I'll make a motion that we accept the signage reduction
And allow for a total of 80 square feet of signage and maximum of 16 foot tall, Mark?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Chairman,
I'll
I'm
second
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we also have the wall signs too.
I had no issues with the wall signs. Does anybody have any? We are, he's very right. We are voting on this as a package. So with the reduction in the street sign, is everybody happy with the wall signs as is?
Yes.
Does your motion include that, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, and Amanda, Rick actually seconded that. Rick, you good with the wall signs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Once again, I'm gonna go back to, we do have a motion a second. I'm gonna go to a roll call vote. I'm gonna try to get it right this time. Amanda, you want first? Amanda?
Aye.
Aye. Mark,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and Rick.
Aye.
I'm also in favor. We're unanimous on the decision to max out the sign on the street at 80 square feet, 16 foot high, and to allow the wall signage as presented.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We appreciate it and look forward to coming to town.
Thank you for working
you.
with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Okay,
Okay, bye-bye.
that's the end of the first two cases. We are not done. We have one more case this evening, case 2021-03-23A, case of Michael Koska of 19 Wampanoag Drive, Fairhaven, Mass., who is petitioning the board for a variance to be able to construct a barn that exceeds the floor area ratio at 36 Rock Street, Acushnet. This request is being made under the provisions of section 3.3.4E5, maximum floor area ratio. Mr. Koska? I did see him earlier.
He's there.
He's here.
Oh, I do see. Mr. Koska, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself and
Or Nick, can you unmute him?
I can't unmute. He has to unmute him.
he's got himself muted. Mr. Koska, you
Thanks.
unmute. Now
Good.
you're there.
We're there?
Okay. Mr. Koska?
Yes.
You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Michael Koska. I'm here representing myself as the property owner at 36 Rock Street in my endeavor to build out of native lumber a 28 by 64 barn. This is the same barn I had in Middleborough. I sold my house there and my wife and I moved to Fairhaven. And I'd like to build this barn because I have things that I own all over the place in storage, and I'd like to consolidate them. As far as the property itself, 36 Rock Street was bought by my grandmother in 1936. And so it's been in the family for quite a while. And it was lots in the Riverside Farm, Plan Book 5, page 70, that was probably developed around the turn of the century. I can meet all of the minimum setback requirements for the residential village of 20-foot front, side yard is 10, rear yard is 20. Thing that I don't meet is the 20% maximum lot coverage. I would be at 20.35, and how we arrive at that. The house is 24 by 44 with a little bump out. And it's a 2-story or a 2-apartment building. So you count the coverage twice, which would give a total of 2,166 square feet for the 2 floors. 64 by 28 barn is 792 square feet, which is a total of 3,950 square feet. I'm sorry. The lot itself in the deed reads 71.43 square rods. Square rod is 16.5 by 16.5, which then in terms of square feet is 19,446.8. If you divide the two numbers, the 3,958 and the 19,446.8, you come to 20.35%. The main Rock Street actually doesn't go through. There's ledge in that area, hence it's called Rock Street, that outcrops, and it's a dead end street. The lot has 150 feet of frontage. It would be 134.89 feet in depth on the easterly side, 124.49 feet on the westerly side. Nye Avenue, which is not built but a paper street, part of the Riverside Farm plan, is simply wooded and vacant. I'm hoping that the board would allow me to reduce the maximum coverage by 0.35%. I don't think it would derogate from the neighborhood. I'm not planning to raise cattle or have horses or chickens or rabbits or anything like that, although my grandmother did. But simply, everything would be located inside the barn. It's for storage only. I'm hoping that the board would allow me to have this building 30 feet from the street line, 43 feet from the closest sideline, which is on the westerly side, and 34 feet from the rear lot line, which would exceed all of the minimums as per the zoning bylaw for minimum setback requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Are there any abutters here this evening? Any comments from the board?
I have a question. Mr. Koska, you said you had the same barn in your property in Middleborough. What was the lot size and what was the size of the buildings that were on that property?
Let's
Was it
see, I
pretty
had
similar to
a
this, or?
salt box house, 40 by 28. I believe it had a 16 by 20 L that came off of it into a 3-car garage. And the house was set back approximately 600 feet off the road, and it sat on 8.3 acres.
Okay, so a whole lot bigger than the lot that's on Rock Street.
Yes, definitely. That's why I sold it. It was too big.
I guess my input, what I'll share with the board and with Mr. Koska is, I kind of agree with him. He's allowed to build this building 28 by 60. I've read the letter from the building department. He's 160 square feet over. And again, if we do the percentage, Mr. Koska's numbers are right on. It's 0.35% over. Yeah, he could do it in 60 feet and didn't have to come here. There's no neighbors here who are up against it, and I am not either. I mean, the difference doesn't mean anything. It's not. He's got 30 feet in the front and 34 in the back, so shortening it up 4 feet on either side doesn't mean anything to me. I don't believe it does to the neighbors. Not enough for them to come.
Can I
So
just ask
that's
Mr.
my
Koska a
input.
question, please? My name is Lino Di Souza, and I live on Orchard Street, which is right by where Rock Street begins. I'm a little concerned because I don't see very much. Is that going to generate a lot of traffic?
No.
You're right at the end of the
No.
street. If it's all restored, your house has been in. I've been living here for 4
Yes.
years. Your house has been empty all this time. There's nothing going on in there.
No, that's because all my furniture is in there from Middleborough. I'm presently trying to finish a house in Fairhaven. Once I finish that house, that furniture is going down there. The cellar is chock-a-block full with garden supplies and tools and some reprocessed lumber, let's call it, where my wife likes to make things out of aged wood, let's call it. I'm the only one that'll be going in and out of there. I intend to maintain and keep the property. I do want to make it, instead of the plan show board and batter, what I did in Middleborough, I had a clapboard front and I shingled the rest of the building. I want it to look nice and respect to, my grandmother and my family. So Mr. Souza, I can assure you there's not going to be any kind of traffic except for me and my utility trailer, and maybe checking up on my tenants, making sure they're not, if you remember the tenants that I had before that, they had a camper in the yard. They had a couple sheds, and what broke the straw on the camel's back for me, he moved in another one where he's going to store his tools. And at that point, I said, I've had enough. The property was not what I wanted to remember my grandmother by.
Well, Mike, as I was telling you, my concern is traffic, and I don't know if you've noticed, but Rock Street and Orchard Street is now full of 3, 4, 6, 7-year-olds that may be riding their bikes up and down the street. So if you were going to have storage where people are going to coming in and out, then that would be a concern.
No, the only storage is mine. Nobody else's do I want in there. I don't need any more people than who would rent it and hopefully pay their rent. Other than that, it would give me a way also, Mr. D'Souza, to supervise the property. So if I see that there's anything going on that I don't want there, certainly I'll be right on top of it. It's not it's not going to be like it was previously. My mother was living at that point in time. She was across the street, and it's my sister that's across the street over there. So we've been there, my grandma, since 1936. I think my father built the house at 35 Rock Street in 1952 or 53. And I'm 65 years old, and I'm certainly not energetic enough to have anything there that's going to cause either myself any grief or any of my neighbors. I've been in that neighborhood I grew up there. So certainly if there's anything that you see that is going on with 36 Rock Street, I'd be more than happy to speak with you, leave a note at 36, and I'd be more than happy to communicate. And you can tell me what you're seeing that you don't like. But I hopefully, since those people moved out, I've redone the inside of the apartments, and I've also cleaned up the lot and gotten rid of all the byproducts left by abutters by renters that just don't, abuse the property. So I want to be a good neighbor. I don't intend to go.
My mind at ease. Thank you.
You're welcome. Which house
Thank you,
are you,
Mr.
D'Souza?
I beg your pardon?
Thank you, Mr.
Which house are you?
Thank you.
I'm at number 15. As you come down Rock Street, the one to the right.
Down
It's a
Rock.
gray cottage.
Okay. I think that was Dick Moore's old place.
I appreciate the comments, Mr. D'Souza. Thank you for being here. And it sounds like you've heard and you're happy with Mr. Koska's speaking. I do want to just say that if later down the road or anything, it was reused, there could be traffic there. But the difference is, or not the differences, but the specific thing is he can build the same barn 28 by 64 without being here. You have more than your right to build the building. We're really just talking about whether or not he can cover an extra 0.35% and have a 64-foot building versus probably like 61.75 or something if you did the real math. But anyways, thank you for your comments. It sounds like we're happy, and I'll go back to the board for any more questions or concerns.
I'll make a motion to grant the variance.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. For the third time, I'm going to ask for a roll call, if you would, just because we
motion
are
for
on
the-
Zoom and we're asking.
Make the motion for 160 square foot variance. So it's in.
I think the motion should be to allow the proposed 28 by 64 foot wood frame structure. So Mark and Rick, you made the motion in second. Do you agree your motion
Yes.
is to allow the 28 by 64 foot wood frame proposed barn
Correct.
with the setbacks of 30 foot in the front, 34 in the rear? And actually, he's all in compliance. So if they're a few feet off, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But
Insignificant, yeah.
so motion made and seconded. Roll call. Amanda?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And Rick? Aye as well. you're approved unanimously, Mr. Costa. Good luck with
Thank you
your
very much for the board's time this evening. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Costa, just call the town clerk's office next week. They'll have everything for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Amanda, for all your help today. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, bye now. Bye.
Okay, before we move on, talking about restructure, talking about the board, I'm open for whatever you guys want to talk about.
I don't know what to say.
I was just thinking we're almost up to reappointment time at the end of April, that maybe kind of find out, see how you're feeling, Paul, or see what's going on with Carol, or if you want to just reorganize for the time being for a year and then vote again later, or whatever you want to do, just so we don't have to keep voting above every meeting. I just thought it might be easier for formality to just have it for, a while or whatever. If you guys want to make a vote at the next meeting, it's completely up to you. I just thought it'd be worth a conversation.
We certainly need alternates. We don't have any right now.
Oh, we do. That's without a doubt. I'm already
Right.
working on that, but that,
Oh, okay.
you know.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let me ask you this, Amanda. You are an alternate, correct?
Yes.
I am.
Can we make you a full-time position?
We could. I could write a letter
We-
to the
we-
selectmen and ask.
We cannot. We could request the select.
Yeah, the selectmen would have to.
Oh, okay.
But yes, it is something that could be done if we need to, and then we still would need 2 more alternates, and I believe 1 more member.
No, 5, yes. Well, no, but we do have a member we haven't seen in a while. So, I mean, we're not getting rid of her, but the only way to really
No,
move
not
forward
at
with that is with Carol turning in a resignation. She can miss all the meetings in the world, and there's nothing you can do until her appointment's up. You said that, it's May, and I agree, but all 5 of us are on a different schedule. So I'm not even, so Carol being the 5th, but that doesn't mean she's up right now. She may be a year, 2 years, 3 years.
No.
I don't know.
My only concern is I only brought up the reorganization as far as reorging like chairman, vice chairman. So that way we're not having to have you be voted as chairman, if we vote another chairman, even just for a year. And then if it wants to be, if Paul wants it next year, whatever, just to keep things a little easier for the time being, I just thought it might be helpful.
That can actually be done anytime. It has nothing to do with the.
No, I agree with that. I just thought the timing was just kind of worked out.
So we definitely should, as a board or request the Board of Selectmen, ask Carol if she, is going to come back at some point. If she is, that's great. If not, if we can't replace her seat without her resignation. So that's the issue why we don't have the 5 members.
Well, can we?
I don't want to replace her seat. I just didn't know how this would work, because before today, the last meeting, we haven't had a chair or a vice chairman in 6 months at any meetings.
Yeah, no, we have, I'll say 4 active members. We haven't seen Carol, but she is a member. I'm not sure when her term's up. If she's up this year, that could help. We could get the selectmen to try to look for someone who will come, but if not, there's.
Oh, I don't want to
nothing we can do
replace
to
her. If
change
she
any
wants to
seat.
stay on, I'm not talking about replacing her. I'm just saying the titles themselves.
No, the guys were asking you to be a regular member versus an alternate. I just letting them know we can't do that. We can only have 5 regular members, which we have currently, and it's up to the Board of Selectmen. And it totally is. There's 5 people and everything's for 5 years. So there's only 1 per year that gets changed. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that. There's no, we don't have any say in that.
So we can ask for 1 alternate in essence, correct? Paul
Correct.
states-
We should have at least 1 more alternate. Absolutely. And I'm, as far as chair goes, I don't mind doing it week to week, hoping Paul's ready to resume. That's totally up to Paul and the board.
You want to give an answer now or you want to think about it? No, you
Yeah,
wanna
I
think
just
about
only
it?
wanted to bring up the conversation because I didn't want
That's
to put
fine.
pressure on Paul. Yeah, I didn't want to put any more pressure on Paul, or feel like he's in a position if he's not ready to be, you know what I mean?
No,
I'm
we've
just
been
trying
working
to
it
do
out fine.
reality wise the best all the way around for us.
And we thank him for coming tonight. His computer was messed up. He would have been here, but he's here with us and I appreciate him coming.
Any other business for the evening?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Oh.
we do have a case for April. So, does April 20th work for everybody?
April 20th.
April 20th it is.
Our next meeting will be April 20th at 6:30.
Mhm.
I'm sure it will continue as a Zoom for now.
Yep.
And we have a motion. Is there a second to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.